Yesterday, I managed to see Spider-Man Brand New Day in cinemas, and I've had some time to sort of collect my thoughts and sort of settle down on how I feel about the movie. So today I feel pretty confident in giving a review for Brand New Day. Going into this film, to be honest, I had really high expectations. Everything from the trailers and the promo side of it looked really solid, and then people were watching it and claiming this is the best Spider-Man movie ever made. I don't think it's that good. I think it's a really good Spider-Man film, but I don't think it's the best ever made. I just think Spider-Man 2 is too high a standard to really compare this film to. That being said, though, I do believe this is a top 5 Spider-Man movie. We're not going to talk about spoilers just yet, if you're worried about that. I'll give you a big spoiler warning when we do get into that. So when I came out of the cinemas, this is the tweet that I put out. Follow me on Twitter, by the way, if you want to see me just ramble about bullshit. But yeah, these were my thoughts initially coming out of the movie. Without spoiling anything, I don't think it's the best Spider-Man made, but it's pretty damn close. Visually and action-wise, this is the best Spider-Man has been in live action, and Tom Holland now has the best Spider-Man suit. Story-wise, it's pretty heavy, but also pretty simplistic in a good way, and one of the saddest scenes in Spider-Man takes place in this film. The few worries I had going into this film were put to rest by the end, but I do have mixed feelings on the ending. Overall, probably a top 5 Spider-Man movie for me, but I need more time to digest my feelings, but without a doubt, the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. So my feelings haven't changed too much since I've slept, really, but I would like to build off of this little tweet that I put out and start with the worries I had going into the movie. So really there were two things that I was worried about going into Brand New Day. The first one was how cluttered the movie was appearing to be. You know, when we had like the trailers and all the, you know, the leaks and the rumors and everything, this movie seemed to be a lot. It seemed to be doing a lot. I mean, just from trailers alone, we saw the Punisher, the Hulk, the mystery villain, who shall not be named right now. We had the Hand, we had Scorpion, Tarantula, Boomerang, all of the, and Tombstone as well. Like, there was so many villains confirmed to this film. And the second concern I had was how they were going to handle what happened in No Way Home. Obviously, at the end of that movie, we had the memory spell, which erased the memory of Peter Parker from everyone in the world. And I was very worried going into Brand New Day how they were going to handle this with our characters, like, you know, Ned and MJ. I do feel that by the end of this movie, both of those concerns were put to rest, especially the cluttered one. This movie is nowhere near as cluttered as it appears to be before you watch it. I mean, once again, I was seeing all these different villains and all these plot lines and characters and thinking, whoa, that's a lot going on. I mean, the last time we've seen this many characters and villains appearing in the movie, we had Amazing Spider-Man 2 and before that Spider-Man 3, and people consider them to be some of the worst Spider-Man movies. But I have to say, in this one, it's not really the same. Pretty much 80% of those villains are just in the opening montage just to show Peter working as Spider-Man on his own. The way I'd categorize it is you have the sort of background villains, which once again appear for a scene or two, and it's just Spider-Man fighting them and, you know, recreating a lot of the comic book covers. So the likes of Tarantula, Boomerang, Tombstone. I think Tombstone has 1 or 2 lines, but the others are literally just one shot of Spider-Man fighting them, and that's literally it. It's the shot you saw in the trailers. So yeah, that all happens at the start of the movie. Scorpion is also in that montage, but he comes back for a fight scene later on with Spider-Man. Other than that, it's the mystery villain that, you know, we obviously don't know who it is. That is the main antagonist of the entire film. So realistically, this plot contains Spider-Man, mystery villain, the damage control, Punisher, and the Hulk. And even then, the Hulk is sort of there for a little bit, which I'm going to talk about a little later on. But yeah, this movie is definitely not as cluttered as I thought going into it. It's actually pretty compact, simplistic. It's also very self-contained in the MCU. A lot of the other MCU movies are MCU movies, like the Spider-Man ones. They're very much in the universe, but this is very much a self-contained movie. It doesn't set up anything necessarily. It just is a good Spider-Man movie, which I'm really happy with. The other worry was how they handled the spell, obviously. That's going to be in the spoiler section of the video, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. There was one thing towards the end of the movie that kind of irked me about it. I'm not sure how I feel about it just yet. I have some theories on it, but overall, I'm very happy with how they handled it. They could have easily just, you know, flicked a switch with it, but they handle the consequences very well. Don't think that's really getting into spoilers, so I'll just leave it there for now. Now, talking about these side protagonists, the Hulk and the Punisher. The Punisher, I really love his role in this film. A lot of people are saying that he's not the same Punisher as in his show. I would disagree with that because it just shows the side of the Punisher that we don't see all the time in the show, but he is portrayed in that way. There are a lot of scenes in The Punisher, and especially in Daredevil as well, where he's a lot more light-hearted. He has some banter. He has a pretty dry sense of humor. There is a lot of that in this film. Like, they lean heavily on that side of The Punisher because this is a PG-13 movie. He's not going around killing people and gouging their eyes out or anything like that, but he is still the same Frank Castle. I'm very happy with the way he was portrayed in this film. No complaints. The Hulk, I'm a little iffy on. So, my main issue with this is that Peter goes to Bruce about his mutating DNA, which we saw in the trailers, and it pretty much plays out as it did in the trailers. He goes to him, asks for his advice, and then he sort of just leaves the uni. The next time we see him is when he's being controlled by the main antagonist, and he's transferred back into Smart Hulk. So, he's not hulked out. He's just Smart Hulk. And then he gets unpossessed by the main antagonist. And he goes back to his human form. But obviously he doesn't have his little MacGuffin on his wrist. And then he hulks out. He turns into the full Savage Hulk. Which didn't really make sense to me. I mean, I'm not the biggest like Hulk fan going. I don't know the most about him. But it just kind of confused me. As somebody who's seen all the MCU movies with him in, it just sort of happens. I don't really know how the Smart Hulk thing worked. I don't know how the MacGuffin worked. I don't know if it's in line or not, but he just sort of hulks out. And then they have the fight, which is pretty much 80% in trailers, which is my biggest issue. They showed pretty much everything from the Spider-Man and Hulk fight in the trailers, so it kind of leaves a lot to be desired. And I'm not somebody who watches every single piece of media that comes out before a film. I mean, I watched the main 2 trailers of Spider-Man Brand New Day, and then anything that comes on my feed, which is just the trailers, really. And they showed pretty much the entire fight in the trailers, so I'm just sort of sat there like, I want more from it. And then he returns back to human form, and then just sort of leaves for the rest of the film, and it's not really brought up again. Very weird, to be honest. I don't really love what happened with the Hulk. I mean, they hyped it up to be like the Savage Hulk return. It doesn't really matter too much to me because it's a Spider-Man movie, but it just felt weird to me. I don't know. I think the final thing I'll talk about before I get into the spoiler section of the video is the visuals and the action in Brand New Day. Oh my god. I mean, I was blown away. I saw the trailers and thought it's going to be the best looking Spider-Man movie ever made, but actually seeing it on the big screen is something else entirely. This film is gorgeous. The action is super satisfying, and you can tell they took a lot of inspiration from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, specifically in terms of like the swinging scenes and how perfect they look. But at the same time, the action is so Spider-Man PS4, it's unbelievable. Excuse me. The action is so sick. Like, he moves like we've never seen before in this film. It got me so giddy seeing him fight, specifically Scorpion, in the second fight later on in the movie. It's something you have to see for yourself. I mean, yeah, this is by far the best looking Spider-Man movie we've ever had. The action is by far the best as well. It's so creative with some of the camera angles and the way that they use his abilities. It's beautiful. And his suit is now solidified as my favorite suit of all time. I mean, for years and years and years, it was Tobey Maguire's suit just because nostalgia. Then I started to warm up to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 one a lot more, and that became my favorite. I think this is the definitive Spider-Man suit. And I love, as well, by the way, how they have one suit for this movie and they just stick with it. He just has his Spider-Man suit. He doesn't have 5 different other mid-suits that are just marketable plushies. They stick with the one suit, and I do wish, to be honest, that it got a bit more damaged. Like, in the final fight, you know, Peter is very beat up under the mask. Yeah. Thanks, Alexa. He gets his mask taken off, which again we've seen in trailers, and he is bloody. He is messed up, but his suit is completely fine. And this has been a thing for a while in the Tom Holland movies. It's a very small nitpick, but I remember the days of the Raimi movies where by the end of it, Spider-Man's suit was messed up. Like it had cuts, it was open everywhere. You know, his eye was always peeking through the mask as well because the lens was broken. I want to see more of that. Like, he got messed up at the end, but his suit is almost completely fine. It just doesn't really make sense. But that's really all I have to say before we move into the spoilers. If you want my sort of final review on this before you leave, I would give this movie a solid 8.5 out of 10. It could move up, it could move down, depending on time. I saw it yesterday. But in terms of a number, like in terms of where it ranks in the Spider-Man sort of franchise, I guess, I would say this is easily a top 5 Spider-Man movie. Top 5. I think it's probably towards the bottom of that, but I think it's definitely better than No Way Home. It's the best Tom Holland movie, hands down. I think it definitely beats Andrew Garfield's in terms of just raw quality. So I think it's easily a top 5 Spider-Man movie. But now we're moving into spoilers. So spoilers, don't watch if you don't want it spoiled. Okay, right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the handling of the memory spell. So there's really two sides of the same coin here. We have the MJ side and the Ned side. So MJ, they have two of the scenes in this film are some of the most heartbreaking scenes in a Spider-Man film. The first one is the main antagonist, Jean Grey. She possesses MJ without us knowing, and she plays this trick on Peter where she says, "Oh, I feel like I know you, but I don't really know because I don't have that memory." And she's kind of egging him on to like take off the mask and admit what happened. He does that. They have this really beautiful moment where he's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you remember me." And then she just flips it and is like, "Nah, lol, it's me." And it's really sad because it's like emotionally fucked up, really. Like, you know, she baited him into believing that she remembered, but really it's Jean, which was really sad. And the second one, MJ finds the note that Peter had written out to read to her, and she finds it and she's very emotionally confused because she doesn't know this person, you know? You would think after reading the note and when he speaks to her that she would just sort of be like, oh, I remember you now. Yeah, I love you so much. You're great and awesome. But that doesn't happen. She's instead just like, you know, I understand you did what you had to do to save that person who's somebody else now, but I don't love you. I don't even know you. And I think the acting in that scene was really, really solid. But yeah, it was a really sad scene, and I really like that they handled it that way because, again, I was very worried going into this film that it was going to sort of be like, "Oh, yeah, Peter, I'm so glad you came back and saved us. Like, I remember old film. Let's go retcon it." They didn't do that with MJ. By the end of the movie, she still doesn't know Peter. I think she has some feelings buried deep down inside of her, but she doesn't remember, you know, she doesn't really feel it. Like, by the end of the movie, she's sat in the spot they were in No Way Home on top of the school. She's got the Black Dahlia necklace, you know, she kind of has a feeling, but she doesn't know. So that's really good. But Ned is very odd. So by the end of the movie, this is like the final scene, Peter goes up to Ned and he does the handshake, and the muscle memory kicks in with Ned. He does it as well, and it's heavily implied, I'm pretty sure this is the way it's supposed to be perceived, he gets his memory back because he sort of looks at Peter and goes, "Peter," as in like, not like a, because he introduced himself as Peter and he's sort of like, "Oh, Peter, hello." But then he does the handshake and he's like, "Oh, Peter," like he remembers him. And this is weird for me because it's quite funny how he did all of that with MJ. Like, he confessed his feelings, she saw the note, everything like that, and she doesn't get her memory back, but he does a handshake and does. And you could attribute this to a lot of things. You could attribute this to they had a stronger relationship because they were friends for so many years. The power of friendship beats love, or some bullshit like that. But a good theory that one of the guys I went with had was that this happened because he is magic, which we saw in No Way Home. He has some kind of magic in him, you know, because he was able to open the portals to the other Spider-Man. So maybe that's why he's able to sort of break from the spell, because he has a magic ability, which, to be honest, I don't know if they're going to build off of that in the next movie, but if they do build off of that and make that the reasoning as to why he remembers, I would be okay with that. I would be fine with that. But if it is purely down to just the handshake and the muscle memory sort of breaking the spell, I mean, it opens up a lot of questions. I mean, the spell was to stop all the multiverse people coming in and destroying the universe, but if the spell is now broken, is that going to revert those effects? Is it going to break the spell for everyone? Is it just for select people? Like, there's so many questions. If I was being honest, I kind of wanted this movie to stick to its guns and have them not remember and sort of move on from Peter. Because that's what it seemed like it was going to be. And MJ specifically as well. By the time they had those scenes together and he dropped her off, I was sort of like, yeah, they're going to do that. They're going to move on from MJ and Ned. You know, we had their time, and we might move on to Gwen being the love interest, and we might see Harry. You know, they're kind of going to be the replacements for these characters. But it seems like they're probably still going to stick with them, I think, which MJ is supposed to be Peter's love interest, but I don't know. Now, the other thing to talk about as well is Jean Grey. Oh my god, Jean Grey, who thought, right? Sadie Sink is a very good actress. I think she does a really good job of portraying Jean Grey. I don't know the first thing about her, so this is a very ignorant Spider-Man fan talking about an X-Men mutant, whatever the fuck, right? I liked her character quite a lot. Again, pretty simplistic in terms of, like, she's looking for a sister who also has her powers, and then the sister ends up being dead. And then the DODC are the bad guys. Like, who thought, right? Like, the plot twist was very predictable, I thought. If you've seen anything in phase 4, 5, or 6 of the MCU with the DODC involved, even this previous Spider-Man movie, actually, you know they're not the best people. So for them to be the bad guys, it's sort of whatever, really. But I did really like Jean Grey. I thought she was a good antagonist. And then obviously by the end of it, she's not an antagonist because she's actually pretty innocent in the whole thing. And the DODC end up being the bad guys. I don't really know what happens to them after that. I don't know if they shut down or anything, but they break out Jean Grey. She just sort of fucks off, really. Her and Peter are now friends, but she left, so I'm not really sure. I don't really have any other notes on Jean Grey. I liked her. I do want to go back to what I was saying about the simplicity of the film and how self-contained it is. What I mean by that is that, once again, I was expecting the film to be very cluttered, to be juggling like 7 different plot lines at the same time. And it is the longest Spider-Man movie. It didn't feel that way. I mean, I could have stayed there and watched it 3 more times, to be honest. But I do think the plot is very simple. I mean, Peter starts out as Spider-Man. He's on his own. He's fighting bad guys. And then he starts to mutate his DNA. I wish I talked about this in the previous section. But anyway, his DNA starts to mutate because of how lonely he is and how isolated he is. And then he sees MJ kissing her boyfriend. And that sort of sets off that Spider puberty plotline where he starts to become more Spider than man. He doesn't become man Spider or anything, but it's sort of, he has that organic webbing, his senses are a lot heightened, he's a lot stronger. So he just gets a power boost, essentially. And then it gets to a point where he develops an inhibitor chip, like a MacGuffin, to sort of suppress the DNA, similar to what Bruce Banner has for the Hulk. He creates that and it sort of suppresses it. And by the end of the film, it sort of becomes about embracing that other side of him, or it becomes about him not being alone, so the DNA suppresses itself. I don't really know. It kind of leaves off vague, I feel like, because he takes the inhibitor off, he fights the Hand, which, by the way, the Hand had no business being in this movie whatsoever. They were literally just there for a little, like, oh, the only thing I can think of is they specifically say in this film that the Hand have no leader, right? He says, the DODC agent says that the Hand, by the time that Spider-Man beat them, because they just appeared back in New York, Spider-Man beat them in the opening montage, and then by the time we get to the present day, the DODC agent has recruited them to work for them, and he says that they were just kid's part of an organization without a leader, so I'm using them for good. Obviously, he's not a good guy, but they specifically say that he has no leader. They have no leader. I think this is because, spoilers for Daredevil Season 3, set leaks, stuff like that, just in case. Elektra is confirmed to be coming back in Daredevil Season 3. I think they are setting up her to come back as the sort of Black Sky of the Hand and to be the new leader. I think that's why they're in this movie, is to sort of prep us for that. But again, they had really no business being in the film. They are literally just there to fight Peter at the end and to sort of... Because that's a lot of the things with this film. I feel like things are just in the trailers and everything's just there to get you in the seat for the cinema, but it doesn't really amount to much. And not in a bad way, because I'm not saying I wanted the Hulk to be an integral part of the film and I wanted the Hand to have a whole plot line and all the other B-tier villains like Scorpion and Boomerang and Tarantula. I'm not saying I wanted all of these characters to have a plot line, but it just felt unnecessary to be in the trailer, to be like, whoa, look, Tombstone and Scorpion and the Hand. Because, again, they're just not really there for a reason. They're just sort of there, you know? It doesn't really have an effect on the film. It's just the way that... It's more so the marketing. And I get it, you know? I'm not going to be thinking about this in a year's time about how the movie was marketed or whatever. But it just felt a bit odd. Because I was kind of expecting more from the Hand. But now that I think about it, it's going to be a Daredevil Season 3 sort of thing. So, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. We've been waiting 5 years for the next Tom Holland movie, and it did not disappoint. Definitely not. A lot of the issues I have with Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies were put to rest in this film. There are some things I would nitpick on and say, yeah, you know, but this really is back to the Spider-Man DNA, and I loved it so much. I'm going to watch it again on Monday. To be honest, I was thinking about going and booking it today and watching it again, but I think I'm going to wait till Monday. I might watch it again later on in the month or so. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film, and I'm really happy I can say that, because there's always that side of you when you go to watch a new film where you're like, oh, what if it's a bit shit? But thankfully it's really good, and I can't wait for it to come out on digital and physical, and I'm going to watch it 7,000 times. But I'm going to end it there. So thank you guys very much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new already. I don't just post Spider-Man content on this channel, by the way. This is just what I've been wanting to post on this channel. It's not really main channel sort of content, so that's why I put it here. Yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.